Greetings all, and welcome to the Cognitive Edge. I am Dr. Daniel Sabol, and today I have a very special guest with me, somebody who has contributed enormously to the library system and who is presently the ALA president and also holds many roles. And I'm just so joyful to have Sam with us. So Sam Helmick, I want to introduce you and say hello.
It is such a delight to be with you, Danny. Thank you for welcoming me to the Cognitive Edge.
Yeah, I appreciate having you on. And so, I'm really wanting hear how did you get to the point you're at?
That's a really fascinating question because it happened accidentally. 20 years ago, I didn't actually support my own local library in Burlington, Iowa, in part because I grew up homeschooled, very traditional and conservative, and I was taught what to think versus how to think. And my tiny library in my rural town didn't have teen materials, a teen advisory board, even a space for us. So eventually you would just age out of the library and wait for adulthood to happen. And the problem with that, if you don't grow and progress with the rate of every reader in your community, is that they feel left behind and then they don't value what public institutions bring. And I happened to volunteer at a library, and then I suddenly realized that, they help senior citizens find community. They help folks who are laid off from a factory not only learn how to use the internet, but to attach an application to find a new job. And through the power of a community-driven initiative for a new library levy, there's a teen space now in my hometown, and teens not only get to touch and tickle the collection and have their own voice and fingerprints in it, they also have events, and it just makes my heart sing. And since that day, I've fallen in love with libraries. I also understand what it means to not. And so I love that I have the experience to be able to say I was wrong, but now I know better, and to invite other people from that side of the equation into the library so that they know we are welcome to all.
That is, such an excellent story to hear. And, to just be able to get out and then see the things that are out there and the services that are offered, and to be able to help and build community and be the community hub and the community center. Just being a librarian is just the ultimate thing. I mean, I had a similar story. I started as a young 13-year-old as a page.
Oh,
Yeah, and I worked my way through every role you can think of in a library. Clerical. I used to try to sneak onto the reference desk when nobody was looking. I always said I'm going to be here one day, so that's how I knew I was going to be in library school eventually. And so here I am. I went through some pretty major surgeries, and so I kind of got a little bit jammed there. And I'm here doing this and getting to speak with great people like yourself and really hearing your story. So
and I love our profession because our experiences inform and inspire it, right? So if you come from a background of not belonging in libraries, you have something to contribute. If you grew up a library kid, you have something to contribute. If you come from education or arts or law or social work, it is so intersectional that you complement the field.
And I put out a video yesterday about all this data that's going to be coming in, like biological data, all sorts of different things, and who's going to mine this, and who's going to who has the rights to this, and these are all questions that are, I think, going to come to us to decide, because ultimately we're going to be the ones who are going to help, say patrons who come, like you said, like maybe the elderly or somebody who needs to interpret something that they read on the test they received from a doctor or from somebody who maybe wants to know, so, it's really a special career. And, I love when I hear that there are students and younger kids who are interested in becoming librarians, and I really try to foster that relationship because, it's a job that is loved when you get into it.
It
Like
is.
you said, when you start doing it, seeing it from the outside, people think, checkbooks. No, it's so much fun, and it's like, if you in your heart have that passion for helping people, it just rolls with you. It's just,
That is so well said. And I think it's true regardless of where you're serving because every institution is human based. And so whether public's your middle name or you're in a school or academic or corporate or special library, serving those beating hearts and allowing them to engage with content and data so that it can become knowledge, right,
yes,
is
yeah,
really the key to our success.
it's so important to see that. And so let me jump to my second question here.
Yeah.
My second question is technology. Where do you see us? I know it's hard because it changes by day. Tomorrow you could be, running the show, but 2 to 3 years from now, what do you see us, as a community hub and just in general with technology?
Mm. That's a great question. I think there are a couple of spheres that you and I will be engaged in heavily. One of the first ones being access, because access is an intellectual freedom issue. And so whether it's organizations like the American Library Association promoting E-rate and asking our Congress to fund it, to disseminate broadband so that we all have access to the World Wide Web and can participate as modern, constituents, or if it's even talking about the regulation of ebook material and e-audio materials, right? Because our patrons' consumer rights deserve a seat at the table. Libraries are uniquely positioned to think about all of those things without making the public a product. We are really the stewards of the public square. And when we let in different vendors or we, rely on different pieces of federal infrastructure to support that public square, you and I will continue to need to be on the forefront of those conversations. And then additionally, I think that we are leaving an information age and we are entering a content age. And so we will be the ones who are considering the algorithmic justice and privacy rights of our patrons who are almost indefinitely and invariably a product anywhere else that they traverse in the world. So thinking about how we explain that and normalize that to the public that we serve will be important because you and I are First Amendment practitioners. So you and I work in the speech and assembly and thought space that allows us to add curation and context to content. Journalists are a lot like this too. They add curation and context to content. But what that does is it allows it to become participatory or engaged so that the patron or the reader, the other human being that's in this equation, can turn it into information. And so as we continue to think about AI, I wish that we would think of it as assisted iterants as opposed to artificial intelligence. Because at the end of the day, content is nothing without the human interaction. It never becomes information without us.
Yeah, yeah, and I agree with you. If you have AI, you can take AI and use it ethically if you know how. If you're willing to.
Yes.
And I can print out how to hook up a wash machine or something,
Right.
and that can help me step by step and guide me. And there's nothing wrong with that.
Right.
It's when you get people who are, I heard recently that Claude was able to hack into a company.
Yes.
And it's, using it that way is not, and, not ethical, and obviously, and it's not, like you said, it's us who really need to keep that foot at the table and really fight for the correct algorithms and how we're doing things, how information is coming out.
Well, and I just read this fascinating article that's talked about a significant decline in creativity or in artistic creativity specifically since the 90s. And it occurred to me that we're so influenced by the World Wide Web that obviously things would become repetitive and derivative. And this is now accelerated with generative information. And so I think you and I, as folks that practice in the First Amendment space, but also practice in the information space, can kind of help remind us and restart it and say, hey, if you were not being fed by a tool, you were being eaten by it.
Yeah, that's, you know what, that's definitely a way to look at it. And that's the mindset that I think that we have to start, or kind of gearing towards. And it's, you know, how do you get everybody to get on that same sort of mindset, and you're 100% right. It's creativity. If you think, I need a picture of something, where do you go? You Google it. Yeah, you have. So it's not, like, many years ago where you didn't have that, and you didn't have the tools, so you had to really think outside the box.
Right. And you're
like,
feeding us, right? You bring us insight and innovation, and you talk about the impact of those things. And so there's new rejuvenating content coming out of places like the cognitive edge. And I feel like when we use tools like the internet or generative, structures, we know what works for us, but we have to really kind of make a commitment to it.
I agree 100%. So, okay, I'm going to wrap things up.
Okay.
Do you have any questions? This is one thing I never ask, and so I love to always I want to always ask if you have any questions or if you want to talk about anything with me.
Oh, I guess my question to you would be, where do you see the next 6 months of the Cognitive Edge taking your listeners, considering the exponential growth of pretty much everything in society that you cover?
It's been so hard getting people. It's hard, and it's even harder getting others to listen and to want to connect and want to hear. And so really getting the idea and getting the videos and the stream and so forth out to as many people as I can is really the ultimate goal. I mean, it's free, and it's it's here, and it's today look at who I'm getting to speak, but then we heard from you. We heard from you your thoughts firsthand. Where else would you hear the American Library Association's president's thoughts firsthand? And that's the thought. It's like, I want to get this, out, and I want people to hear and say, this is, this is the way that everybody's thinking. And you see a lot of similarities amongst with people, and it's just trying to get others to follow and to watch.
Well, Danny, thank you for your work to build that community, and I'm looking forward to sharing our episode with all of my circles and friends too.
I appreciate that so much, Sharon. Thank you so much. All right, have a good day.
You too. Bye, Danny.
Bye. Bye.